Bala.
Thank you, Andreas. Andreas, you know where my computer is? I have my briefcase. If you don't mind bringing it to me, because I got some things in there I might use. Well, good evening. Huh? Good morning. For you, it's good morning? No, for me, it's now. Now I'm like excited. You know, and now it's the time. How's my Norway friends doing? Ah, good. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Now, I don't like doing presentation after dinner. So I'm going to have to do something here. I'm going to maybe dance. I'm going to do something to keep everybody, me and everybody awake, right? How's that sound? We can do some salsa. Okay. All right, well, let's see. So what have we learned so far? Huh? What have we learned so far? Okay, before that we learned the products work. Check. Right? And we learned the 3 habits. Okay, use the product, make some customers, and bring some friends. Right? Make some friends. Okay. And I walked you through the presentation with the compensation plan. What I want to do right now is kind of put it all together. Is that okay? So what does it look like when you get started, when you get somebody started? So this is really part of my presentation from earlier. And then after that, I'm going to switch completely. I'm going to switch completely to really more to talk about leadership. Because I am here with leaders. Yes? I'm here with leaders, right? Yes, okay. And I think we're going to have fun. It's my first time doing this presentation I'm going to do today with you guys, so I'm going to need your help. Okay? Now, this one is not the first time. Now, have you heard about the Real Switch Challenge? Yes. What are we switching from? All right, we're switching from synthetics to real food. What else are we switching from? From basic nutrition to a whole new category of nutrition. What is that new category of nutrition? Huh? Ambrotose. Glyconutrients. New category of nutrition. We are switching from employee to entrepreneur. We're switching from hype to heart. And we're from just making money to making a difference. All of us here, especially those of you who are here tonight, and you're part of that core leadership of our business in Europe, you are being called to make a difference. You are being called to make a difference. And what we're going to do together is build a community of people who really care to make a global difference. So the switch is on, change one thing, change everything. Now, how many of you know we have something called an iPad incentive going on? All right. And I think Colin won his already. Right? So we have an iPad incentive going on. We got some cash rewards. We're going to talk about Hawaii. How many of you like to be in Hawaii in January? How many of you write this down on your piece of, on your book, in your notebook? Write this down. January 2013. January 2013. Write it down. It's very important. Write it down. Some of you are not writing. I'm not going to go on until you write that down. If you don't have a place to write it on your neighbor's head or something. But write it. Summit 2013, Hawaii 2013. Okay. All right. Now, if you notice, what we have done over the last few months is we've created what I call an 18-month personal strategic plan. By changing our comp plan to the 4x4, by changing the incentives to a 4x4 type of incentive, we have aligned the company on a very specific pathway so that when you sit down with a brand new person and you want to tell them about what Mannatech can do for them in the next 18 months, okay? What we have created is a very exciting 18-month journey for a new person. Now, obviously, nobody in this room is new. So what does that mean for you to have this? Huh? But what does it mean for you? How can you use this? How can you use this? To bring new people. So now you can put in front of new people a plan. So it's not just hype. Now, I was just talking to a gentleman from Austria, and we were talking about another company where you become a millionaire in 3 minutes. All you need is simple. It's all it is coffee. Just, drink coffee, become a millionaire. Oh, yeah, you're going to hear me talk about this a lot today. Because you know what? It's very difficult for me to see very smart, intelligent people not understand certain things about what it takes to be successful and believe the hype. Now, it doesn't mean that some people in the coffee business cannot be successful. But you know what? They have to go through what? A process. So when you're sitting down with a new person, I know you're people of integrity, which means if you're people of integrity, what you're going to do is give people a hope, but then you're going to give them a plan. Because hope without plan is impossible dreams. But when you give hope and a plan, then that's a possible dream. When we say that we switch from hype to heart, I say we switch from hype to plan. So if we, the existing associate, the leaders, understand what this plan is, this is a world-changing plan. I'm going to show you why. Now, at the top, what you see is first BP, 3 BP, 6 BP, 12 BP, 18 BP. Because, see, milestones is important. A plan, a strategic plan, a goal has dates. It has milestones. How many of you do strategic plan for your companies? When you do a strategic plan for your company, your boss wants to know, by when? Right? This is the goal. This is, this is the vision, the goal, and then, all right, what's the strategy? And in that strategy, then you're going to get into dates. Because if you don't make this by this date, then you're not going to make that by that date. This is not going to make that by that. So we need to have a plan with dates. First BP, first 28 days is critical in the life of a new associate. Your job as leaders, our job together, the company and you, is to make sure that we activate the new person. If you can activate them in the first 30 days, your chance of keeping them in business with you is extremely high. Extremely high. Because if you activate them the first BP and they build a team of 4 people in their first BP, it's going to feel like success. Does that make sense? They get a direct bonus of 100 pounds. They get a team bonus of 65 pounds. They get a power bonus of 140 pounds. So they just made over 300 pounds on a 200-pound investment. Was that a good experience? Was that a good experience? Yes. Do they want to know what's next? And you tell them what's next is in the next 3 BPs, so kind of your first 90 days, what we want you to do is duplicate. We call it times 4. Help each one of them have the same experience. So you go from 1 to 4 to 20. You've built a team for them. And by the way, they get what? An iPad. That's a $500 item in their first 90 days. But also, they also do what? They get their first generation power bonus of 260 pounds, and they also become a regional director, another 140 pounds. And look what happens there. In the middle of the box, I want to, what does it say? 4 kids, like children, right? 4 children, 20 children. World-changing plan. Because you know what? The connection we've made between what you do for you and what you do for others is like this. We're not a company that just gives money out when we make a profit. We give money, we support these children, we feed these children. Every time somebody takes our product, we feed a child. It's not, if we make a profit, we're going to give them a little bit of money. Every time somebody takes our product, a child gets fed. How many children do? Yes, thank you. How many children are we trying to reach? 5 million. That means 5 million people who know about us and who enjoy and have the advantage of taking our products. Now, when those 4 people, when the 4 bring 4, and those 4 bring 4, now that becomes a national, okay, that was a regional, now that's a national, the first 6 BP national, and we send them on a nice trip. 84 children, 500 pounds now of what we call ongoing income. The income in the bottom is what we call ongoing income inside the big letters, and the other ones are just your pack bonuses. They do it again. You go executive in your first 12 BP, and you get some cash. Plus 1,300 ongoing income. And then they do that again. In 18 months, you go presidential, you get twice the cash that you got the first time. Somebody said, well, how much cash? All right, I don't know. I'm hoping by tomorrow I will know, because I'm supposed to talk about it. So you have to come tomorrow just in case. And then you also get to go to Hawaii. And this is the special deal we're doing for Hawaii next year. In a normal system, if you're a new presidential, to go to Hawaii, you need to go to qualify at least 4 times, and you get to go. For a new, in this plan, if they do it in 18 months, even if it's once, they go to Hawaii. You see the difference? Right? So the brand new person, all they have to do is do it once, and they get to go to Hawaii. And by the way, and you, who brings one with you to Hawaii, that's your automatic ticket to go to Hawaii as well as a qualified presidential. So you need to be qualified, but all you have to do is bring one new qualified presidential who did it in 18 months. So guys, you see why 2012 is going to be a very busy year for us. And we have plans. By the way, Summit of 2013 is not going to be your regular summit. It's going to be a summit like we have never done in 17 years with Mannatech. You do not want to miss Summit of 2013. Now, if you missed all the other ones, you missed Hawaii. No big deal. But Summit 2013 is Hawaii on steroids. But real food steroids. Maybe it's Hawaii on phytosterols. I don't know. Okay? The way we're going to treat those people who are going to Hawaii on a Summit 2013 is going to be memorable. You're going to want to come home and tell people about it. You're not even going to wait to get home. You're going to be putting stuff on YouTube and Facebook. You won't believe how we will treat you that year. So for those of you who are sitting here, I'm telling you, if you're in this room, you got to be there. If you are in this room, you cannot miss Summit 2013. Because then you're going to have to come back and go, you can't say you didn't know, because I'm telling you. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Now, 3 easy steps. Say with me, 3 easy steps.
3 easy steps.
Tell your neighbor, look at someone by side, 3 easy steps. And show them like this, 3 easy steps. Okay, 3 easy steps, okay. All right, step number 1. Set up your account, right? What does that mean? Get your, yeah, look at my eyes. Are we doing hypnosis? Look at my eyes. 3, okay. Set up an associate account, set up your automatic order, find 4 friends. Now, it's never been simpler to become a multi-millionaire than that, right? 3 things you do. Set up your account, get on automatic order, and find 4 friends. If you have any problems making friends, you're in a good group, because we're going to teach you how to make friends. We're going to make you magnetic. People are going to come to you instead of you going looking for them. How's that sound? You like that? Yeah. Ooh, that's what we're going to talk about tonight. It's like we're going to plug you in. And it's like, and you're going to attract all types of good people to you. Okay. All right. So step 1, set up your associate account, pick up your pack. Step 2, set up your automatic order. Step 3, find 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right, so when you do that, this is what happens, right? Now, what I want you to look at here is just the bottom is your ongoing income. The top is what I call your return on investment. Folks, if we want to be professional about this, right, let's start talking like business people talk, right? What do business people talk about? Return on investment. Anytime anybody is looking at a business, they're going to make an investment. Now, in this case, we know that they're making an investment in their health. And their health is their first wealth. So, but they're also making a 200-pound investment, right? Or 240 pounds, okay? 240 pounds. Oh, no, wait a minute, I'm sorry. 199. Sorry, it's not even 200. 199. That's magical, 199. Okay, so they bring 4, earn a direct bonus, 100 pounds, personal power bonus, 140 pounds. They made 240 pounds, and that's a 120% return in your first week. Don't think of this as months. Think of this as weeks. So week 1, they made 120% return on the investment. And they've already created an income of $65, an ongoing income of $65. 65 pounds, $100 a month. Yeah, I know, 60 pounds. It's easier for me to think $100. Let me show you something about $100. How much money do you have to put in a bank today to get $100 of interest every month? So let's say you're going to make $1,200 of interest. If it's 2% of something, what is 1,200 2% of? Uh-oh, I'm challenging mathematics here. Come on. 60,000? Going once. 240 what? Oh, no. This is 2% of X. What is X? 60,000. Okay, guys, pay attention now. This is huge. Because in your very first week, what you have just showed somebody is how to put $60,000 in the bank at 2%. How's that sound? How many of you are going to save $60,000 over the next 10 years? Some people will. I don't know. I know it doesn't work with me. Glad my wife takes care of that, but you know. But 60,000, it's like putting 60,000 in a bank just on step one. Is that real money? And what did they have to do? 3 things. Buy a pack for $199, get on automatic order, and find 4 friends. Not only they got 120% on their investment, that's taken care of, but now they have an ongoing residual income worth $60,000 in a bank. Because when you have $60,000, what do? Do you sleep in it? You throw in a pool and swim in it? You put in a bank. And why do you put in the bank? Because the bank gives you money back. So you never see the $60,000. What do you see? The interest of the $60,000. That's what's powerful about our business, folks. If we just know how to explain it to people, I tell you what, we get people's attention. Huh? No, it couldn't be. No, it has to be. It's 6,000. Yeah, because see, 10% of 60,000 is 6,000. So 1/5 of that is 2%. Yeah.
$100 a month is $1,200.
Right.
Divided by 2%, which is the yield.
No, I know what you're saying, but it is 60,000. Whoever found that out, it is right. It'd be too good now. I mean, I tell you, I'll stop working for Mannatech. I'll just go do this. This will be pretty exciting. Okay, let's go to the next level. So these 4, what did they do? 3 steps. And out of the 3 steps, they became a regional. Now their income is 140 pounds. They have made 500 pounds in pack bonus, which is 250%. And to say thank you, we send them an iPad 2. No, I had people ask me, did you get a surplus of iPad 1s? Is that what we're getting? No. You're getting the brand new iPads, the iPad 2s. Does that sound good? Now, if those people bring 4 people, now you are a national, 540 pounds ongoing income. You've made almost 1,000 pounds, almost 500% return. 84 children are now being fed because of your efforts. And you're going to get a cash reward. And at national, most likely, a trip. What's not to like about this, right? You go one more step. Now you're an executive, 1,300 a month, 1,300 pounds a month income, $6,000 in, I mean, 6,000 pounds in rewards. 340 children are being fed. The last one is you do it again. Every step of the way, everybody has to only worry about what? 3 things. 3 things. If we just keep it that simple, I hope it doesn't sound so complicated or so difficult to do. But our job is right there. The first 30 days, the first 28 days, we got to give them a feeling of what? Success. That's your job. That is your job. Making them feel successful. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, there's a one-time cash bonus that is separate from all of this.
That's where it says rewards.
Oh, the rewards, I think 6,000 pounds and 10,000 pounds. Did I already announce it without announcing it? I don't know.
Yeah, you didn't mention it, but I just saw it there.
Wow.
I just know I heard something.
You heard something like that. Okay. Well, it just might be. I don't know. We'll know tomorrow. Well, I don't know. Typo. There's one person awake in this place, okay? But that's okay, that's fine. Okay, and 1,300 kids are being rewarded. So again, an 18-month personal strategic plan to go from 0, when I think in dollars, I'm taking them from 0 to $100,000 in a year, in 18 months. And 30,000 of it pretty much is extra rewards. That's how it's set up. And folks, that's a pretty good deal. At a time where everybody is worried about what's going to happen to Greece, what's going to happen to Italy, what's going to happen to Portugal, what's going to happen to the euro, what's going to happen to France. They just got downgraded today, I think. Folks, it's not pretty out there. The economy can be your best friend. Why? Because you are presenting them with a very doable plan for how to not have to depend on what happens on the outside, because they can control their own destiny. They can be the architect of their own future. Folks, there's going to be a revolution in the world. And it's not a bad revolution, but it's a revolution of thinking. You know, 20 years ago, I was building businesses in France, in Spain, in Portugal. And the one thing everybody told me is, well, you know, I don't have to worry about my retirement because the government is going to take care of me. Right. Exactly. Folks, the social net is broken. And people are now facing, the only problem is those people had told me that are 20 years older today, and they're facing this reality smack on. We haven't seen the worst of it yet. And I'm not trying to give you bad news. I'm just saying, you read the news like I do, and sometimes I try not to read it, because you know what? That news has no effect on my news. I create my own news. You create your own news if you want to. Does that make sense? And if there's people that you really care for, I'll tell you what you need to do. You need to go back and do what? Rescue them. Bring them on. Show them a simple 18-month strategic plan to go from 0 to financial freedom, or at least less financial stress. Does that make sense? Folks, that's what we're doing here this weekend. You know, this is real. You know, we're not here to tell you bedtime stories, even though it's time to, you know, it's getting close to going, time to bed. If I didn't think this could be done, I'd be home with my wife. Or I'll be home with my kids, my mom. I'd be doing something for me. I wouldn't be here. This is real. And the minute that you guys can accept that that's real, the products are real, the comp plan is fair, the plan is real, then hope is alive. Hope is real. And dreams are possible. And see, you guys, I'm assuming there's going to be more people coming in tomorrow, and you guys are going to be, for them, the thermostat. You know the difference between a thermostat and a thermometer? A thermostat just tells you what it is. I mean, a thermometer just tells you what it is, but a thermostat affects what it is. My question to you is, what atmosphere are we going to create here that will create hope in the lives of the people who have listened to you and they're coming here looking for something that can really change their lives? Well, I want you to really think about it, because whatever it is because it's what you're going to create here. And I tell you, I'm looking at enough people in this room that we can absolutely have an impact in this country, in this continent. You know, when I go back in history, you know, when the United States had 3 million people, all it took was a handful of people to change that country forever. And when they changed that country forever, they changed the world forever. It was just a handful of people. And they were not the best people. They were not the most educated people. They were not the most brilliant minds. They were people, regular people. But I'm going to tell you in a few minutes what was different about those people and why we want to be like those people. Now, every one of you, I wish I knew enough about everybody's history, but I can always tell when I go to a country, because when I drive up and down the streets, I always see a statue. And usually they don't put statues for losers. They don't put statues for cynics and skeptics. Who do they build statues for? Heroes. And usually you can always tell that one man, the thought process of that one person changed the course of history, for good or for bad. One person. When I was talking to Colin before we came here, Colin, Carolyn, and I, we may have spoken 3 or 4 times in preparation for this. And I said, what's the theme of this weekend? He said, the magic in you. The magic in you. I said, wow. Wow, that's perfect. I love that. And, you know, and I said, you know, I wasn't prepared for that, but I'm going to do something just for that. Because for me, after all these years, because see, that one person eventually becomes a presidential, helps for presidential. Yeah, they have a nice income. But look at the bottom, the number of lives that start becoming impacted. And that's the absolute minimum that they can impact. Absolute minimum. One person who gets a vision and a dream can affect tens, hundreds, and eventually what? Thousands. And I'm always excited when I come to a room like this, because usually I know that there's somebody sitting in this room. If there was just one person, if I could just touch just one person, that one person could change, absolutely change the whole environment. You're going to hear us talk a lot about this over the next few months. But you know, Mannatech is ready to launch a leadership revolution. Wow, I'm glad you're excited about that. I feel like I'm in Norway again. I don't know why. You know, but I am excited to be here. Because I do know that by just being here, you have made a decision to personally develop yourself so that you too can have an impact. You know, over the 20-some years I've traveled all over the world, this is what I found out. That people have gifts and abilities that has never been tapped. People around you, see folks, the average person lives a life of quiet desperation. You know, what's sad about cemeteries is not because it's where people are buried, and it's certainly that carries a lot of emotion of people who miss those people and so on, because they're loved ones and so on. But I tell you what's sad about a cemetery is how many dreams are buried in those cemeteries. See, so many millions of human beings get to the starting line and they never start. And they stay there until they die. Folks, you're going to have to make a decision this weekend. Are you going to be one of those people that when it's all said and done, I have an exercise that I do with people sometimes. Not going to do it today, but I want you to think about it. It's a little morbid when you think about it, but it's very powerful. If you were laying on that casket and people were coming to the podium to talk about your life, what would they say about your life? What have you done? Nobody's going to care what you have. They're going to care what you've done. How many people were better off because you lived? That's the question. You know, everything we have showed you in the last 2 hours is many different ways that you can touch the lives of people in a very significant way. Whether it's in their health, whether it's in their finance, whether it's the children, it's your chance to be that person that God created with a purpose. You know, we spend a lot of time trying to figure out what we're going to do before we try to figure out what is our purpose. Why are you here? Do you believe it's just an accident? We were just thrown together like this from all over the world just because there's a nice airport here? There's got to be a reason. So what we got to do is figure it out. For me, that reason is really is leadership. Because see, those people that they build statues for, the reason they do is because they're leaders. Because they did have the magic in them. But you know what? This is the good news. We all have the magic in us. We're not just a wandering generality. Do you understand that? You are a meaningful, specific, designed for a special purpose. And the day you find that purpose is the happiest day of your life. 1980, November, I don't remember when, 8 o'clock at night, I walked into a room like this. Sat in the back of the room because I didn't want to be infected with all the excitement of the rest of those people. I thought they may have been drunk or something because, you know, they were too excited on a Tuesday night. Who gets excited on a Tuesday night? I met a group of people who they were just a little different than everybody else I had met until then. And the thing that made them different, they had a dream. They had a different plan. They were playing to a different music. You know, I don't know if you guys have this, but have you ever seen a dog who sees a squirrel and gets all excited because he's going to get the squirrel? right? Or a rabbit, right? I mean, the dog goes crazy. Now, if you haven't seen the squirrel, you think, what's wrong with this dog? Right? That's how you look to those people. Because you have seen the squirrel. You've seen the financial freedom. You've seen the health freedom. You've seen something that they don't see. You look crazy to them. But I'm glad. Aren't you glad? Or do you want to be like normal people? No. Folks, we're going to launch a leadership revolution. Because the magic is in you. You know? So, you know, let's kind of talk a little bit about what does it mean. What's a leader? Define leadership. What a leader is. I don't know. Kind of, what do you think? I mean, I just put some words in there, but when you think leader, what do you think? Inspiring. Charismatic. Right? They got that's something special, mojo kind of stuff, right? Is that what you think? Right? They take responsibility. They get results. They're committed. They persevere. They have charisma. Integrity, right? Character. Does that sound right? Wow, these people, I mean, I bet you when they wake up in the morning, they must just jump and put their pants on once. You know, they don't do one of these. I mean, they're like Superman. They just fly and put their pants on and go right out of the door, right? Huh? Yeah, no? Almost. If they had impact and cardio balance at the same time, almost, yeah. So that's what we think leaders are, right? So what leaders are? What's leadership? Leadership is the skill of influencing people to work enthusiastically towards goals identified as being for the common good. That sounds like stuff we put in our strategic plans at work. Kind of, yeah. But that sounds good. To get superior performance from ordinary people. I like that one. Right? Get superior performance from ordinary people. Leaders provide a mental picture of a preferred future and then ask people to follow them there. Oh, I like that one even more. So what does a leader do? They create what? Vision. They have the ability to live in a world of faith instead of a world of sight. They don't live by sight, they live by faith. They create a picture of tomorrow that has nothing to do with yesterday. Does that make sense? Do you like those kinds of people? Yeah? Are you those kinds of people? If you're in this room, you are. Folks, I just want you to know, this is the good news. The good news is that every one of us, we already have all of this. Where's my marathon runner? 500 marathons? Okay, you're going to hear from him tomorrow. He probably did. Probably did. He said to me, everybody is a born athlete. Because I told him, I said, I mean, how do you do 500 marathons? I'm trying to figure out how do you even start the first marathon? What crazy thing gets into your head that says, I want to run for 26 miles or something like that? Unless somebody's chasing me, I'm not running that far. You know? And they better be chasing me with guns and other things, because otherwise I'm going to stop and we're going to duke it out right there, because I don't want all that running. Right? But what gets into somebody's mind? He said, everybody is an athlete, but some people decide to train, and others don't. We are all born with those capabilities. When you were 4-year-old, everything was possible. You were Superman. Truly. You were a cowboy one day, you were an Indian the other day. You were a fireman, you were a policeman, you were, astronaut, you were whatever. Ladies, you were a princess, right? Maybe a fireman, maybe a policeman too, or a cowboy or an Indian, I don't know. But when you're 4 years old, right, you are anything. You can be anything. But you know what? That's exactly who you were. That's how you were designed to be. Einstein said we are all born geniuses. We're just thought to be idiots. I can say that because he said that. No, you can lose friends quickly when you say those kind of things. Do you understand? We all have those abilities. You have the ability to imagine. You have the ability to see a future like doesn't exist right now. You are that dog. You can see the squirrel even when nobody sees the squirrel. Right? Leaders can plan conflict against the status quo. But what happens to us as we grow up is we conform. We conform. We accept the status quo. We believe that the way things are is the way things are. But you know what? I learned in quantum physics that nothing is the way it is. We just think it is the way it is. It's just a perception that we have. Einstein proved it that really nothing really exists. Now, I don't want to go too deep into this because that's way above my intelligence, but I'm just telling you, I understand that concept. Everything is the way you decide to see it. That's why tomorrow we're going to have people on stage who have done things this past year that you haven't done. Yet in the same economy, the same product, the same company, the same gift for real, the same everything, Sam Castor, Copel, it's the same. Some people do it and some people don't. And some people think it's too hard and some people think, wow, this is easy. It's the same thing. So what's the difference? The way we think, the way we have been programmed to think. Leadership is the influence of others in a productive, vision-driven direction and is done through example, conviction, and character. Example, conviction, character. Influence. Influence. John Maxwell says, if you think you're a leader, but nobody's following you, you're merely taking a walk. So what we're going to learn today is how to have people follow us. How do we create a community? When I was doing those 4x4 by 4x4, what are we creating? A community. You're the energy to get it started, and then you're going to provide is just an environment, a vision, a direction. It's like a flow. Folks, when you create that vision is like a flow. People flow in that direction. But it starts where? It starts with you. It starts with you making a resolution that you are the one who will start it. And I'm going to walk through the process a little bit with you later, but I just want you to understand that it really isn't that complicated. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing else. It's not mandated, it must be earned. Now, as a senior VP of global sales, there's people who look at me as a leader, whether I'm a leader or not, because it's my position. Here, there's no position. We're all a voluntary army, so what we do is we earn leadership. Now, how do we earn leadership? By serving those people that we want to lead. Because in another way, most people think that leadership is power, control, and perks, being served. I'm the boss. You do as I tell you. Get my briefcase, do this, make my coffee. People think that leadership is power, control, and perks. Well, I would say that leadership is giving power, helping others fix problems and move forward, and serve. We have a totally different concept of leadership in this business than you do in the world. What do? We give power. We empower people. Why? Because we realize they have been made, they have a God-given gift and talent that's already there. You follow me? When I look at you, I have to see what's already put in you that's been in you all the time. My job is to do what? To empower it, to bring it out. There's a story of Michelangelo when he was sculpting David. So when he was done sculpting David, probably one of the most incredible sculptures that have ever been sculpted, somebody asked him, how did you know when you look at the slab of marble that you could create David? He said, well, actually, I saw David. David was already there. I just took out all the stuff that was not David. Guys, you see the difference? Every time you sit down with another human being and have that interaction, what do you see? Because see, if you start seeing in them what they don't even see in themselves, you are doing what? You are empowering them. You're giving them power to bring out what already is there. Folks, leadership is not something that you could say we're all born with it because it's in there, but it's something we have to learn to get it out. Every single person in here is a leader. I'll tell you one thing, if you're a mother, you're a leader. Yes or no? I mean, that's the most important leadership job in the world, is raising children and bringing up some productive citizens of the world. That's leadership. I mean, unless you are just unless you're just, I don't know, unless you have a mental problem or something, a physical, mental, whatever, disability, all of us are leaders. Your job is to find it, recognize it, move it forward, eliminate all that, fix the stuff, all the extra stuff that is not them. Take that out of the way, and then you're going to have what? An incredible human being. That's why it's about building 4 significant relationships. It's creating 4 Davids out of what? Out of pure marble. But it's there. Can you see it? Close your eyes. Can you see it? Can you see David in that marble? Can you see David in the marble? Okay. Now, so the obvious question would be, so how does one acquire leadership? And this is the good news, folks. This is what makes me excited about what I do. Is because I know that leadership ability can be acquired. Leadership can be learned. Anyone can grow in leadership ability. Anyone. What we have discovered and rediscovered is that leadership is not the private reserve of a few charismatic men or women. People think that a leader needs to be charismatic. Again, I don't know how many of you study history. I study the history I'm more familiar with, which is American history. There was a gentleman called Ben Franklin. Anybody hear of Ben Franklin? Kind of famous guy. He discovered electricity. If it wasn't for him, we'd have to watch television with a, in the dark. or candles, either one. It is told that Ben Franklin really was not a nice man in his early days. So much so that if people saw him come down the street, they would go that the butterfly will build the muscle in their wings to fly. Does that make sense? We have to be willing to let people fail so they can learn. The only thing is we have to create a culture in which failure is okay. That failure is part of the process. Because if I don't prepare them for that, the first time they fail, so let's look at that. Event, failure. Response, I'm a failure. Outcome, I will never do this again. I'm a failure. Event, failure. Response, oh, it's supposed to happen. I was told that this is what happens. So if this is happening, then I must be going in the right direction. So that means outcome. Let me do it again. You guys follow the difference? So we need to create a culture, an environment where failure is okay. You know, in baseball, cricket, if you can hit that ball 1 out of 3 times, they pay you millions of dollars. So technically, every 10 times you swing, you miss 7 times. Now, what do you think if the response to that was, I must be a failure? I only get it 3 out of 10. What a failure. No, that's not how we respond, because everybody knows that the statistics are what? That if you're a 300 batter, 3 out of 10, we're going to pay you millions of dollars. Make sense? So what you got to realize is that in our business, no's is part of the process. Actually, we ought to challenge people to get 100 no's as quickly as they can. We're going to have a celebration every time they get 10 no's in a row. We ought to do something fun, go eat something nice, because you got 10 no's in a row. Because if you get 10 no's in a row, that means you're that much closer to a... Is that the way people think? No. The average person doesn't have a high failure quotient. They have a very low failure quotient. So leaders, what we got to develop in ourselves is a high failure quotient. You've heard of intellectual quotient, emotional quotient. Now you got to learn failure quotient. Because if I have a thick skin to failure, I'm going to succeed. That's it. Be willing to learn. First of all, understand it's in you already. Understand the process has to start by learning. Learning, part of the learning is failing. Failing brings learning. Association puts me in contact with people who have already failed before me, so I don't have to fail as many times because I can learn from their failures. Because just because I said you're going to learn from failure doesn't mean it has to be your failure all the time. Does it make sense? Ben Franklin was a failure for half of his life. Well, let me learn something from that. What did he do to change himself from a failure, a relationship failure, to a relationship master? He made a decision. I want to be a master in relationships. I'm going to write these 13 virtues that I want to do, and I'm going to read them every single day, and I'm going to check myself, and I'm going to change, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to fail, and I'm going to change, and I'm going to do it, I'm going to fail, I'm going to change until I do and I succeed. That's a great lesson from Ben Franklin. In performing, then we build what? Skills. As I perform, I will create skills. And as I create skills, then people are going to follow me because I have what? Skills. You know, I could be the best guru of leadership. But if tomorrow you needed a heart transplant, would you call me because you trust me in leadership? Would you? Why? I'm going to try. I'll read all the books. I'll go on Google. I'll watch the videos. I'm a good learner. I learn really quick. Let me do it. Let me do it. I don't have the skills. You cannot trust me if I don't have the skills. So I learn and perform to build the skills so that people can trust me. And if people can trust me, people will follow me. So as you're going through your failure cycle and your learning cycle, guess what you're doing? You're creating a magnetic what? Personality. Because now people will come to you because you are a what? An expert. Were you always an expert? No. Did you have the skills? No. Were you hungry to learn the skills? Yes. Did you fail? Did you learn? Can they trust you now? Can you lead them? Yes. Can we all be leaders? Can we all be leaders? Yes. Why? Can you fail? Yes. Then you can be a leader. Is this making sense? Yes. And if you're a leader, does that change the kind of business you're going to build? Can you be a platinum? Wow. I don't know, guys. I hope this is making sense to you guys, because I tell you what, it took me a couple of years, 20-some years to figure this out. Because you know what? I was always looking for the leaders. I was looking for that charismatic person who had the kind of personality that would be a leader. Little did I know, I was going by leaders every day, but I just was not seeing the David in a marble. All I kept seeing is what? Oh, that's another piece of marble. Another piece of marble. I want to find David. Where's David? Now, there's a few Davids out there. But most of us are what? We're marble. We're a big chunk of marble. A big chunk of coal, they used to say. And they said if you put the coal under enough pressure and heat and time, you turn a coal into what? A diamond. So leadership development process begins by finding sources of leadership and leadership wisdom. Some of it is going to be here this weekend. Some of it you're going to have to continue your search. And what we're going to do, I'll tell you what Mannatech is going to be this year is the source of leadership. The leadership revolution that we're going to have in Mannatech is because we're going to start putting in place, creating an environment that helps us to find and develop all of the Davids. You know, we have run Mannatech for 17 years based on the greatness of our products, the wonderful, very rich compensation plan, but we missed one very important step, and that was creating a leadership culture, a leadership development culture. For those of you, how many of you are going to be in Hawaii this year? All right. Well, I tell you what, this year, Hawaii will not be like anything you have seen. Now, we're not going to have yet the fun that we're going to have in 2013. Because before you have fun and celebrate, we're going to roll our sleeves and we're going to work. And I promise you, if you come to Hawaii this year, those of you who are qualified, what you're going to experience in Hawaii you have never experienced before. We're bringing people in that one of them he's called the coach of CEOs. He coaches the CEO of Walmart. He coaches the CEO of Ford. He coaches Dexter Yeager. He coached the DeVos family. He coaches people at the highest level. And you know what? Because you are the CEO of your own business, we're going to get you a coach. Does that make sense? I mean, this guy is awesome. And then I think the guy who wrote the book, Leading a Leadership Revolution, He's going to be there too. And he's going to talk about this idea of how you build communities. Why he has a community of 100,000 people that will go wherever he goes. It doesn't matter what company he goes to, that's where they go. They're not married to the company, they're married to him. Because he's a what? A leader who develops leaders who develops leaders. Folks, once we put this thing together, you watch the explosion that we're going to go through. Because when we create better people create better companies. Better people create better businesses. It's not just enough to have the best product, the best vision, or the best compensation plan. If you don't have the best leaders, we're going to be an unfulfilled mission. We have the greatest mission in the world. We have an urgent mission to get a job done. But you can't get that job done unless you have leaders. If you don't have leaders, you're dead. Does that make sense? Yes. We're looking for a few good men and a few good women. And if you're a wimp, forget about it. If you don't have a backbone, forget about it. That's not what we're looking for. Did I just make some enemies again? But you guys get what I'm saying? I mean, it's about time. When you have the kind of product we have, when you have the kind of mission we have, when we have the kind of urgent need to do something, we can't just sit back and watch who's got talent in the UK or in Germany or whatever. We got to get in motion. Do you want to do something big, or you want to live a life of quiet desperation? That's the question you got to answer. Do you want to be a leader of leaders, or you just want to be a sheep? Sheeples. All right, I'm going to calm down. All right, well, association with those who have the fruit on the tree. We're going to learn to associate with those people who have the fruit on the tree. We want to develop leaders who have fruit in the tree, who can lead others who want the same fruit. Does that make sense? Be a good fruit inspector. Don't believe everything that you hear. Folks, we've been given an amazing mind, a spirit to discern the difference between good fruits and not so good fruits. Don't just believe everything you hear. When somebody tells you, I got a coffee business that you can be a millionaire in the next 3 minutes, please, please, please. Seek the counsel of those who have achieved the goals for which you strive. It means you have goals. It means you have determined exactly what you want. When you know what you want, right, then what you do is you find someone who already has done what you want to do. And sit at their feet and learn. Listen. Some people want to sit with a mentor, but they do more talking than the mentor. Does that make sense? When you find someone who's got the fruit in the tree that you're looking for, then sit with them and then do what? Be quiet. Just listen. Come with a list of good questions. Like, I want to talk to the gentleman who runs 500 marathons, because one of my goals is to run a marathon. How wonderful is it that it's my goal? Now, I'm not that hungry about it yet, but I'm getting there. But now, I love the opportunity to sit down with him and say, tell me about your first marathon. What did you do for your first marathon? Now, he was 18, I'm 51. It's going to be a little different, I reckon, but you know what? I want to find somebody who's done what I want to do. Leadership development is a deliberate process. I think we said that. In leadership, there's something we call the art of leadership, and then there's what we call the science of leadership. Now, the art of leadership is called the thought processes, mindsets, and mentalities upon which a leader operates. Otherwise, it's called your attitudes. What's your attitude about failure? What's your attitude about people? And I'm going to go through some of those things in a minute. What's your attitude? What are you doing to develop the right attitude? Do you even know what the right attitude is? Because if you don't know what the right attitude is, you don't even know when you're not having the right attitude. How do you find out what the attitude is, the right attitude? Well, you talk to a leader who's got the right attitude and say, okay, tell me what are the right attitudes of a leader. And then make a list. Check it twice, every day. Am I following those things, those habits, those behaviors of leaders? The science of it is what you actually do. The action, the strategies of leadership. So leadership is built on the hard ground of truth, but also requires the artistry, the art to reach the summit. Folks, for me, leadership is books, CDs, DVDs, questions. If tomorrow you were going to meet Sam Walton, is he still alive? What would be the 10 questions you would ask Sam Walton about leadership? Do you realize that when Sam Walton had 10 stores, he went to a IBM conference. He had 10 little stores in the Midwest. He was doing well, but he didn't even know he was doing well. He went to this seminar because leaders are learners. They look for what? The information. He sat there and watched, and then sat down with a guy who gave that conference that day and said, well, I got all these stores and all these things going on. Tell me what's going on and what do I need to do? And he took an hour of that guy after the seminar, and those two became the best friends, and that took him from where he was to being the first person to implement computers at that time into retail and change retail as we know it. Why? He was at a conference. Does that make sense to you guys? Leaders learn, and leaders want to learn the art and the science of leadership. So what's the cycle? Okay, what's the cycle? This one is very important, because once you get started in that process, it's about a vision, right? Creating a vision. You know that 18-month strategic plan I showed you, right? That could be a vision. You can create that vision for someone, can you? Right? I've given you, that's a tool for you to do what? Create the vision. And as soon as you create the vision, what do you become? A leader. Because you're speaking into his life the future. You're telling him, this is what's going to happen to you. And guess what he's doing? Really? Really? Wow. And I'm going to help you. But we're going to set some goals. There's a first BP goal, and then there's a 3 BP goal, and then there's a 6 BP goal. Go across the street, not to face him, because he was a very argumentative and very opinionated man, and nobody liked him. And one day, a good friend of his had the courage to tell him, Ben, people just don't like you. And that was a shock to him. You know, most people don't realize that we already know who you are. Even though you might be living in a different world, but most people around you already know who you are. So what we got to do for people is be that friend that can say to somebody, you know what, this is the truth. This is the brutal truth, but with an idea that I'm saying this so you can do what? Change. Because leaders are people who are willing to change. So Ben Franklin decided at that point, he wanted people to like him. He didn't realize people didn't like him. He didn't realize that he was creating that kind of an environment around him. So he went out and he wrote a list of 13 virtues that he wanted to assimilate and become. And by the time Ben Franklin died, He was probably the most respected diplomat that United States, the new United States had ever had. But what he did is out of that 13 virtues, he actually changed himself. Folks, our soul can be schooled, can be disciplined to be whatever we want to be. But what has to happen is we have to be hungry enough to want to change. Yes, over the years, all of us, we have acquired some habits, some behaviors that is unbecoming of those people you might consider to be a leader. But if you decide that you want to create a community, you want to be a leader of men and women, and that you want to acquire those virtues, then it's as simple as deciding that you want to have those virtues. And work at that process. So it's a process where ordinary people use when they are bringing forth the best from themselves and others. So we're going to talk about a process. So what we have discovered is that people make extraordinary things happen by liberating the leader that's within them. And that's what we call the magic in you. This weekend, as you look at each other, please, I want you to tell each other, I see the magic in you. As a matter of fact, turn around to the person next to you and say, I see the magic in you. I see David in you. Okay? And this weekend, we will liberate the David that is in you. Does that make sense? Okay. So what's the strategy? So how does one become a leader? How do you acquire leadership? Do you guys want to know? This is kind of boring. Is this helping you? So folks, forget we're in Mannatech. We could be having this discussion just because it's the right discussion to have. I want every single human being on this earth to realize if they take responsibility on themselves to become a leader, they will be a leader. And if they are the right kind of leader, we will change this world. Right? Well, let's start right here. What do you say? Let's start this weekend. Right? All right, okay. Now, change is always present, but growth and improvement are optional. What's that mean? Well, things are going to happen. Things are going to change. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to change for the better, unless on purpose, you want to make it better. Leadership development is a deliberate process. So this weekend, what you got to decide is, all you have to do, folks, is you got to decide, I want to be a leader. I believe that I was destined to be a leader. The world needs me as a leader. And not only I'm going to be a leader, but let me take you back to a couple of slides, right here. I don't want to just lead. I want to develop leaders, and eventually I want to develop leaders who develop leaders. So let me show you, let's talk about that process a little bit. How does that process look? It looks this way. Everybody starts in the learning phase. So what does that mean, the learning phase? Huh? You're developing yourself. Coachable and trainable. I'm even going to get there in a minute. So what does that, how do you learn? Where do you learn from? Huh? You learn from other leaders. Do you realize that by being here, you've already made the first step to say, hey, I want to be around a group of leaders. How else do you learn to be a leader? And that's why I wanted my briefcase here. I hope if you don't learn nothing, I just want you to learn this. Everything you ever wanted to know about leadership, if you are hungry for leadership, is already available. I like to tell you that I sat there in my room from 6 o'clock this morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I figured out everything about leadership. I didn't. I've been studying these books for the last couple of weeks. One is called Launching a Leadership Revolution. Wow, what a coincidence. They must have thought, you know, they got into my mind or something. The other one is called 13 Resolutions for Life. These guys studied the lives of about 20 or 30 of the top philosophers, thinkers, leaders in the world, and put it in a book. So what do you think I did when I read this? I was able to bring to me the wisdom of some of the biggest leaders in the history of the world in one book. These resolutions, I've been living most of them, but never did I see it written in somewhere where I could say, wow, it's already there. Folks, I want you to understand that if you want to be a leader, you must be a reader. Not every reader is a leader, but every leader is a reader. You got it? Reading Oprah ain't gonna make you a leader, you know, automatically. But if you're thirsty for leadership, if you're thirsty for changing you, then I would say start here, right? A few books. The other side, the other way of learning would be, you know what, maybe I will listen to leaders. You know, I make it a habit. I've been walking around with a couple of CDs and DVDs, which I watch and listen to on a very regular basis. Why? I am hungry to learn. I am hungry to be a leader. Why do I want to be one? Because when I come here, I want to be able to bring you value. Does that make sense? You want to become magnetic. You want to become someone that people comes to and people get excited about. They want to be around you. Create value in their lives. And how do you create value in their lives? How do you create value in your life so you can create value in their lives? By learning. By equipping yourself. By changing who? Yourself. Now, why out of this room, everybody, when you leave here, some of you will, some of you won't. It's something called discipline. Why is it that I haven't run a marathon? I haven't had the discipline to do what? To get started. But I bet you what, if I got started, I can run a marathon. Everyone in this room can run a marathon. All we have to do is have the discipline to do what? To get started. Say, well, I got to go read some, you know, I'll probably pick up, for me, I'll pick up a couple of books on how to run marathons. I'll read more about how do you eat to run a marathon, how do you shave yourself to run a marathon. I'll do everything that I need to do, but that information is already available. How hungry are you to be a leader? Because you know how hungry you are will depend on your willingness to discipline yourself in your mind, in your heart, and in your will to do exactly what you want to do. Platinum is nothing but having the discipline to change. The difference between you now and you at platinum is simple. You. Just you. Say, that cannot be. How about, don't you think I have to influence these people? Yeah, if you start with you, if you can affect you, then you can affect them. Isn't that good news? Isn't that good news? All I have to do is change me. I thought I had to change everybody else. All I have to do is change me. If I am a better me, then guess what? Then I will attract others like me. I don't know if this is sinking in. It is? Because you ought to be excited by now. You ought to see platinum right now. You ought to be like that dog who just saw the squirrel, man. You got to be going crazy now. I saw the squirrel. I can see it. Because we've been thinking that it's about 600 other people have to do something for me to go presidential. 16 people have to do something for me to get the iPad. Absolutely not. You got to decide you want to get an iPad. You got to discipline yourself to take the steps you have to take, and those 16 people will show up. So if you're not there, if you're not a platinum, whose fault is that? Listen, I mean, I'm sure it was the company. I mean, they can get their shipping right. No, seriously. This and that and the other thing happened, and you don't know, and you know what? True. But I bet you, with the same situation, with the same product, with the same shipping, with the same prices, with the same everything, someone will make it happen and someone won't. Why? Someone is hungry, one is not. Because when you get hungry, you will figure it out. See, some of us, we've been trying to make people do things and because we want it for them, right? Most of us in Mannatech, it's not really because we even want it for us. We want it so badly for them. We'll do everything for them until we realize you can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make him drink. You've done all these things for them, and then when it comes time to be here, where they can really learn to be a leader, guess what they did? They had a birthday party to go to. Right? So they're not hungry. So what are we looking for? Hungry people. They got to be hungry to want to do something big with their lives. They have to be hungry to do something of value. They got to be hungry to do something of significance. So you go from learning to doing. See, performing is very important. Why is performing important? Because it's through performing, that's when you make all the mistakes. And as you make the mistakes, is how you learn. How many of you learned to walk at once and never made a mistake, never fell? Sweetie, did you? You just stood up and boom, you were there, you were one time, right? See, I knew you were a genius. But most of us, the average time, a child will fall 999 times, I don't know who counts that stuff, but before they learn to walk. Imagine if you told that child, okay, you fell once, you're done. You'll crawl the rest of your life. You failed. You failure. No, you do what? You pick them up and try it again. And try it again. How many of you have learned how to ride a bike and never had a bruise? Doesn't work. How about, anybody here play the piano? The first time you played the piano, did everything living around your house just ran away? Oh, you did like ting, 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 ting. Okay. Everything for the first time is going to be painful. Write this down on your notes. The law of the process. The law of the process. There's a process to everything. There's a process in this business. How many of you know you're going to get a few no's? Lots of no's. Good. That's just God testing your will. How badly do you really want it? If it was that easy, then everybody could do it. He wants you to have it, but he wants to know how badly do you want it. So no's are part of the process. It's part of the yeses. How many of you heard the concept of the 10,000 hours? It takes 10,000 hours for you to perfect anything that you do. If you put that in numbers and you look at how many hours per day you must do something to become good at it, that's a lot of days, a lot of weeks, a lot of months. That make sense? So leaders are learners. Failure is not final. Making mistakes is part of the process. The only thing that happens is there's a process. The process is like this: event, response, and outcome. Failure, feedback, correction. Failure, feedback, correction. Failure, feedback, correction. Failure, feedback, correction. When you do that enough time, guess what happens? You get good at it. See, I realized what mistake I made in 30 years in this industry. I didn't prepare people for the failure. I wanted to protect them from the failure. And in trying to protect them from the failure, I destroyed them. Because they never built up enough muscle to be self-sufficient. Does that make sense? In my country, we used to take the caterpillars. My dad had a grapevine, and it used to grow caterpillars. And they get this big, they get brown and furry, ugly-looking things. But I would capture them about a certain time, and I would put them in a box with enough leaves, and eventually that caterpillar would turn into a cocoon. It's beautiful. It's an interesting experiment. It's life. It's world. It's God. And then I would check that caterpillar. I'd check that cocoon once in a while, and eventually I could tell that the cocoon was ready to burst. You could see that it was just like, it was ready to explode. Now think about this. I know inside of that there's a beautiful butterfly trying to get out, right? And I did this once. I got a little knife and I cut the cocoon so I could liberate the butterfly. Actually, really, that's not what I was doing. I was so excited, I just wanted to see what's inside. And there was a beautiful butterfly inside. But what do you think happened to that butterfly? It died. You know why? It could never fly. I didn't realize at that time, I was only about 8 years old, that it's through pushing out of that cocoon. And then there's a 12 BP goal. And then there's an 18 BP goal. Right? Vision, goals. You already have it, folks. It's already there. And then we're going to game plan. All right, now. See, now we got the 18-month plan. We know. Now, what are we going to do? What's the game plan for this week? What's the game plan? Oh, well, I tell you what. We're going to make a list. We're going to make some calls. We're going to set up a meeting, and people are going to come to that meeting, and I'm going to come into a meeting with you, and then this is what's going to happen, and then those people, one of them are going to say yes, and we're going to have him make a list, and we're going to make some calls, we're going to have a meeting, then, you follow me? Game plan. Game plan. Do you have a game plan for your business? Because if you don't have a game plan for your business, how can you create a game plan for someone else's business? What's your game plan? Leadership is deliberate. Success is deliberate. Success is never an accident. Success leaves clues. What do successful people do? They have a vision. They set goals. They make a game plan. And then they go work the game plan. They go and do. Do. You plan, you do, and then you check. Plan. Do, check. What's the check? Seek counsel. Man, if you've been through the loop once, you go what? You do what? You seek counsel. Hey, I've done this. So at the end of the BP, let's sit down. How did we do? Well, we did good here, but we didn't do so good there. Okay, let's adjust. Let's adjust. And then let's do what? Do, check, adjust. Do, check, adjust. Do, check, adjust. But it's not working. Okay, do, check, adjust. It's still not working. Do, check, adjust. And then what happens? You get better at it. Does that make sense? I'm telling you, this is good stuff. So it's called the cycle of achievement. So you go through this process, and then that's why you need what? You need a mentor. Who are you working with? Who are you talking to on a regular basis? Do you know who your leaders are? They call you on a regular basis. If they're not calling you on a regular basis, go find some new friends. Until you have how many people chasing you? 4. So people say, well, when should I stop enrolling? Well, now I know what to tell you. When you have 4 people chasing you, then you might slow down in enrolling. How many people have 4 separate legs in this room today? Stand up. If you have 4 separate legs in this room tonight, stand up. Guys, this weekend. You got 4 legs, 4 separate legs. You got this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, they may have some people underneath, but you got 4 legs here. 4. Okay? That's okay, guys. That's fine. But guess what? You have to be planning for the next major function. How many people do you need to have sitting with you? 4. And until you get 4, what are you going to do? Keep enrolling. Keep enrolling. Keep enrolling. If they're not chasing you, they're not there yet. They might be in the incubation process. That's okay. But see, if you try to get people out of incubation, you kill them. You follow me? If you try to push them when they're not ready, guess what happens? Then they go in hiding. Then they don't answer your calls anymore. They're not home. They move from the city. They move from the country. I mean, they take a shuttle to Mars. It's like they disappear. It's like the big spaceship comes in, sucks them up, whoop, whoop, gone. They're in the witness protection program. Nobody can find them anymore. You know why? Because you are bothering them. They're not ready. You know why you're bothering them? Because you don't want to do what? Go get another one. Does that make sense? If you keep going and get another one, I tell you, at some point, they're going to be chasing after you. They're going to want to have a meeting. They're going to get upset with you because you don't have time in your calendar. They say, baby, I'm going to have to tell you what you need to do over the phone because I am busy. And probably the best thing that can happen to them, because then they're going to go do it on their own. They're going to figure out they can do it anyways without you. Hallelujah. That's what you want. So what do they have to have? They have to be hungry, honorable. Now, that's not a word that exists, but I'll explain to you. And honorable. 3H. Hungry, honorable, and honorable. What's hungry? They got motivation. They either have a material motivation, a recognition and respect motivation, a purpose, destiny, or legacy motivation. They're hungry. Do you know people like that? When you talk to them, man, they just want to tell you about, man, the stuff they want to do. They're sick and tired of being sick and tired. Oh, that's what I want to find. When you say to someone, how's it going at work? Oh, I love it. I just love my job. Okay. Leave fast before you get contaminated by that guy or gal. They want material success. They want a BMW. They want something. They want something. Is it okay to want something? Right? It's okay, right? Is it? Okay. Recognition and respect. That's a big one. We think everybody gets in this business because they want money. Some people get in this business because they want to be somebody. They want to be somebody. They want to be somebody that people know. How would you like to travel the world and people come to listen to you? And they care about what you say, even after dinner. Number 3, purpose, destiny, legacy. Honorable. It's called teachable. Now, I could do a whole day seminar on this. Why are some people teachable and some people are not teachable? Well, the roadblocks to teachability are arrogance. You've met some of those. They know it all. Right? You know when you know somebody who knows a lot? It's because they can tell you, that they don't know a lot. Actually, they know nothing. That's the person who knows a lot, is the one who knows nothing. The one who knows, who thinks he knows, is probably the most ignorant of them all. And they hide their ignorance through this facade that they know it all. And sometimes we have to break through that facade a little bit to help them. Disinterest, apathy, they're not hungry. Wrong assumptions. People have wrong assumptions about everything. Network marketing, well, that's a pyramid scheme. Really? Where you been? Hiding under a rock for the last 20 years? I mean, if somebody ever asks you that question, well, this is kind of one of those pyramid things, you got to look at them with this face of like, are you kidding me? Where you been living all these years? 20 years. You know what has happened since 20 years ago? They have assumptions about health. They have assumptions about money. Oh, money is evil. I tell you, you don't want to get a lot of money because that's going to change you. No. If you are evil, then the money makes you more evil. It's just you didn't have a chance to demonstrate your evilness because you didn't have the money to do anything. If you're good before money, you are something else with money. Does that make sense? Wrong assumptions. Entrenched habits. Oh, let me not get into habits because I got friends here I don't want to lose. So, okay. But be careful with your habits. That's what I'm going to say. Habits. Cynicism. Oh, my goodness. Don't you hate a person who's just a cynic? Oh, I'm just being a devil's advocate. I'm going to get the devil out of you. What's the matter with you? What do you want to be the devil for? Why do you want to look always at the wrong side of things? Why is the glass always half empty in your life? Hello? They've never built a statue for a cynic. There's got to be something about it. Thousands of years of civilization, I don't have yet found a statue that says, this is a statue to a cynic. Oh, well, but I just want to, I always want to check both sides of the story. This is the reality. There's no reality. There's not even two sides of the story. There's so many sides to the story, you don't have the intelligence to figure it out anyways. So choose a side that serves you. Hello? They say there's three sides to every story. Are you kidding me? If there was an accident down the street and there was 20 people, there'd be 20 sides to that story. Everybody sees things a little different. We all have these different color glasses. Does that make sense? We could spend 2 days talking about the glasses. Does that make sense? So guess what? Pick the side, pick the story that helps you. Right? Does that make sense? Honorable, integrity, character, self-denial, loyalty, servant humility, just and merciful heart. Let me tell you something. A lot of times, people don't realize this, but your leadership could be compromised when you are dishonoring some of these qualities. You could do all the work in the world. That could be, you could have all of the science of leadership. This is the art of leadership. Integrity, character, self-denial. Are you the one who always needs to have the credit, or are you willing to give the credit to everybody else and not worry about who gets the credit? Loyalty. 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 As I look around this room, I realize not everybody is loyal. Well, by the way, those who are not loyal are not here, so don't worry about it. I'm not talking about you. You're loyal. You're here. Loyalty. Oh, I'm going to be with you to the end. Really? Oh, yeah. Come, rain, sleet, or snow. I am there with you. I got your back. What they didn't say is way back, right? Servant humility. Are you a server? Every time you are with somebody else, do you look for them to win first before you win? I know that's not regular business. Regular business is dog eat dog. You know, somebody wins, somebody loses. But you know what? Even in regular business, those who learn to do win-win always get further than those that do win-lose. In this generation, in this society that we live in, win-win is the only solution. That's why I love our plan. Do you realize our plan is a win-win-win? The children win, they win, you win, Mannatech wins. That's beautiful. I'm proud of that, guys. I'm proud of that. That makes sense. So a leader grows personally in character, task, and relationship. What does that mean? I'm getting to the end here. It means that don't look at yourself strictly in terms of what you do. Folks, you can be the hardest working person in network marketing. But folks, if we don't work on character, at some point, because character is that foundation, if we don't work on character, the whole thing falls apart. Task is what you do. Relationship is your ability. Do you have the science of making friends? Do you look to make friends? Or is your sunglasses such that everybody out there is out to get you? You don't trust anybody. Again, this could be a whole week of discussions. Your attitudes about people. Do you see David in everybody? Or do you see the warts and all in everybody? What do you choose to see in everybody? Do you have patience with people's lack of performance? Do you have patience with people's lack of understanding? Are you a friend when things are good and when things are bad? Are you a friend? See, that's what I love about leadership, because it's not about just doing. Because you know what? All of us can develop character. All of us can learn to make friends. And all of us can work on a basic of what you got to do. The doing, but the doing is not everything. If you're doing a lot and you're not getting the results, check these other two categories and see how am I doing in these two categories. By the way, I'm going to give you a roadmap for these three things. I'm going to give you 13 things that you can check every day and see how well am I doing in these things. And when you check, if you're not doing as well as you should, guess what? Work on it. Get better tomorrow. Get better next week. Get better next month. Slowly, one step at a time, right? You can get a little bit better in each one of these categories. I'm not talking to you because I'm perfect. I tell you, as I was going through these things, I've checked quite a few of them. For me, I need to get better in 2012. Honesty, integrity, courage, faith, humble spirit, patience with others, discipline, self-mastery. How are you doing on those things? Task, okay? Well, this is the doing things. Acceptance of responsibility, work ethics, availability, willingness to invest the time, tenacity, perseverance, execution. Tenacity is when you don't give up. That's tenacity. Relationship, accepting people, approving of people, appreciating people, seeing the good in people, encouraging people, putting others first, seeking win-win arrangements, living the golden rule. I believe these things will be posted. Carolyn, is that perfect? Yeah, because some of you can go back and you can take these things, but these are things you can look at yourself and go, how am I doing this thing? Now, do you have to be good at these things? No. But what you're going to have to do, you're going to have to be willing, you're going to have to be hungry enough to want to improve in all these areas. Does that make sense? You're going to be 1 degree better every day, 1 little bit, tiny bit better every day. But see, this is the thing. This is like a compass. If you already know what is it you need to be good at, it makes it easier to be good at. Does that make sense? This is your roadmap. So what we're going to do, learn, perform, lead, develop, and then develop leaders who develop leaders. Now, again, this is the goal. This is the process. And it takes more than a couple hours to talk about these things. So are you convinced now that you are leaders? Your God-given gift and ability that has been in there since you were born, it is there. Do you believe that? Are you hungry enough to learn? Are you going to fail? What does that mean when you fail? This is what it means. I'm learning. You learn more from failure than you learn from success. By the way, your failures is your influence. Do you know that? Your failures will be your influence. People will come to you one day as a leader and say, you know what? This and this and this is happening to me. I don't know what to do. And you go, you know what? No problem. Let me tell you what I've been through. Let me tell you how I overcame it. And because I did, you can too. Does that make sense? Every pain, everything that happens in your life is a stepping stone for you to be an influence in the life of somebody else. The greatest pain that people have gone through have been their greatest victories, their greatest triumph over just, being just a normal human being. Does that make sense? Because you have the empathy, but you also have the skill, the knowledge, the ability to help them. And if you can help people, guess what? You have influence. If you go back to my early chart, if you help people, if you can help them navigate around their roadblocks, then you become valuable to them. They want to be around you. You are magnetic. Somebody who has never gone through any problems is not magnetic. Nobody can relate to them. You mean you went from 0 to platinum? Nothing happened to you? Everybody said yes? My God, I want to slap you. That makes sense? You're not relatable. Nobody wants to be around you. Does that make sense? But if you come to them and say, man, this is what happened to me. Honey, I tell you what, I know how you feel. I know how you feel. I've been through it. Let me tell you how I got through it. There is a light at the end of this tunnel because there was one for me. And if there was one for me, there's one for you. Does that make sense? Sometimes you might be going through things and you have no idea why you're going through them. I think it's just a way for God to prepare you so He can use you in a more powerful way. So rejoice in that pain. Rejoice in that trial. Rejoice in that tribulation because it's like gold being melted in high heat, right? Hundreds and hundreds of degrees to get all the impurities out so that what comes out is pure gold. That's what you want to be. That's what you've been designed to be, pure gold. Pure gold. But you don't become pure gold without going through what? Through fire. It's just the way life is. And we ought to appreciate that, celebrate that, and understand that is what's going to take us up the ranks until we become a level 5, developing leaders who develop leaders. When you get to that point, you are making an impact in the lives of hundreds of thousands, millions of people. But where does it start? Are you hungry enough to learn? All right, so we're going to talk about 13 resolutions. You don't have to write these down. Just listen to them because we'll give it to you. You'll have them. 13 resolutions for life. Now, what's a resolution? A resolution is a written resolve studied on a daily basis that helps to guide a person's behavior while forming his underlying character. So what this says is you may not have yet the character of a leader. But if you're hungry enough to be a leader, then what you have to do is just study on a daily basis these resolutions and work every day so that these resolutions will then shape your behaviors, and eventually those behaviors will become your character. What you're doing today may not be you. Some of you you might be thinking, I've made all kinds of mistakes. You don't know, Al. You don't know what's going on in my life. You don't know the stuff I've been through. You don't know who I am. I've looked at that list. I don't see me in that list of character and task, and I don't see me there. I guess the question is, do you want to be there? Do you? Is it important to you? Now, it might be important to go platinum, but is that really what it is? Is success measured by the destination where you arrive? Is it? Or is success going to be measured by who you become in the process of achieving? Success is not the achievement, it's the process. Who did you become in your journey to leadership? Because you know what? The journey of leadership is painful. Achievement is painful. And if anybody tells you anything different, just run fast. They have their hands in your wallet already. Achievement is painful. But you know what? You're going to choose. You can choose the pain of achieving, or you can live the pain of regret. Remember, the cemetery is a sad place, not because people are buried there, because their dreams are buried with them. They never got a chance to sing their song. They never got a chance to fulfill the purpose, the destiny that was imbued into them from the day they were born. That's a sad life. Does that make sense? So let's look at these resolutions. Number 1, I resolve to discover my God-given abilities. I resolve. You notice it says I. I is for you. You resolve to discover your God-given purpose. Because until you know your purpose, nothing else matters. Does that make sense? Number 2, I resolve to choose character over reputation anytime they conflict. When do you show character? All the time or some of the times? Is your reputation, what people think you are, more important than what you are? Because eventually, they're going to find you out anyways. It's a stressful life when you live outside of your real character. Does that make sense? And in this business, it doesn't work because people will sniff you out and they'll spew you out. You want to be a leader? Resolve today that you're going to choose character over reputation. Number 3, I resolve to have an attitude of gratitude. Folks, when I see you this weekend, and if I ask you how are you doing, this is the only answer I want from you. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. Gratefulness will attract more things for you to be grateful about. Choose, resolve every single morning to wake up in an attitude of gratitude. It's magnetic, folks. But if somebody asks you, how are you doing? And you respond, Now, does that mean there's no problems? No, I'm not saying let's fake it till we make it. I'm not saying that. But your first answer is always, I'm grateful. Now, let me tell you what else is going on. I have some situations I'm in the process of resolving, and maybe I need your help to resolve them with me. But I tell you what, I'm highly blessed, highly favored. I'm too blessed to be depressed. I'm grateful. Hello? Are you hearing me? Okay. Number 4, I resolve to align my conscious ant mind with my subconscious elephant mind towards my vision. Folks, do you live in your conscious mind, or are you living in your subconscious mind? Your conscious mind has the size of an ant. It does nothing. It just processes stupid information.